Welcome back, everyone. My name is Jasmin. I am a doula, childbirth educator, certified lactation counselor, and mom to one beautiful baby girl. Here we talk about pregnancy, birth, postpartum care, and lactation. So thank you for tuning in for another video. Today we are going to talk about my birth story. Let's get into it. My birth takes over the course of 4 days. So we'll start on Monday, which is like an extra day that nothing really happened, but I feel like it's relevant to the story. The plan was to go to my parents' house to do some postpartum meal prepping, do some laundry, baby clothes, our clothes, also collect some of my stuff that I had just recently moved out and was kind of all over the place. I didn't really have anything here in my house. And then just, spend some time there before baby came. It was my first day of maternity leave, and it quickly turned into my birth week. So here we go. Monday was too late for me to go to my parents' house, so I just prepped everything in my house so that Tuesday morning I could just get up and go. Tuesday morning, I shot up out of bed. I was like, let me look at my calendar. When I looked at my calendar, I saw that I had a 10 a.m. meeting in another borough, like 30 minutes away. I got up so fast. I ran out of my house. Good thing I had packed everything the night before. But I picked everything up, went to that training. So it was a comfort measures training because, I'm a doula. It was a comfort measures training where we practiced comfort measures with other people on each other. And kind of the running joke for the day was like, don't do certain things to me because somebody's gonna put me into labor. With the positioning and things that we were doing. So that was kind of funny. After that meeting, I ran back into my car, had a one-on-one with a mentee to talk about some things while I was on my way to Long Island because your girl didn't think this through, really. So we spoke, had that call. I was starving because I don't remember if I ate breakfast, but I was starving. And then I went to, once I got around my parents, I had Chick-fil-A. So that was like my last junk food in pregnancy. I had a spicy chicken sandwich with fries and a Coke. And I stopped by my sister's job, brought her some, and then I just ate in the car. Definitely like a guilty meal, but it felt good. So I'm happy about it. Then I went to my parents' house and I started doing like loads of laundry and kind of just doing what I can. I wanted to go grocery shopping, but that didn't happen with so many things that I needed to do in the house. Night came around. I slept in my sister's room on a bed low to the floor. It was kind of like those rolly beds that come out of the bed, come out from under the bed. And I lay down, and what do you know? I wake up in the middle of the night with some sensations that I later said was like, oh, those are contractions. So these were happening like every 40 minutes. So I would get up, huge, 9 months pregnant, roll out of this bed that was literally on the floor, get up, go to the bathroom, pace up and down the house, and then once the contraction was done, I would just lay back down and go to sleep. Then another 40 minutes, up and down, out of bed, and that just happened the entire night. The next morning, I didn't want to say anything to anyone, but I texted my fiance and I said, babe, FYI, this is going on just in case. He was at work, and I just wanted to let him know. I had the car, so like if I went into labor, then he would have to figure out how to get to my parents' house to drive us back home. Then getting up in the morning, I chugged like 4 cups of water because I figured that, those sensations and the contractions were because of dehydration overnight, not drinking and all that. So I drank, kind of went away. I also had a busy Monday running around, so I thought maybe I was just like exhausted and dehydrated again and pushed myself too hard. So that's what gave me the contractions. But later we know that it was the baby. I tell my mom Tuesday morning. I'm like, Mom, hey, I was feeling this. I think something's going on. She's like, no, your belly's too high. It's not happening anytime soon. I was like, okay, whatever. So I continue doing what I have to do in the house, like sorting through my things, trying to find stuff, again with the plan of meal prepping, but that didn't happen. Around 5 o'clock, my mom and I, we went to grocery shop. So I had my list of things that I wanted to meal prep, a few things. So get back to the house and I packed the car and then I say bye to everyone, and 9 o'clock on the dot, I sit in the driver's seat and have a contraction. So that is where technically the labor starts, because I did not have contractions from overnight all Tuesday. There was nothing. And then 9 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday night, I had a contraction. However, I did not tell anyone because I knew they wouldn't want me to drive, even though they were like maybe 30 seconds long and they were spaced out. I knew nothing was going to happen, but you know, I don't want to say anything to anybody. So then after that, I drove like 40 minutes to my aunt's house. And what do you know? The next contraction hit as I'm pulling up to her house because I wanted to get her crock pot, her Insta thing, whatever, her pressure cooker to make some bone broth. So I went, I picked that up. Again, I didn't tell anybody that I had a contraction. Then 40 minutes later, I pull up to my house and I have another contraction. So I'm like, okay, it's going down. I get to my house, I unpack. Oh, but before that, before I leave my house to go to my aunt's house, I chopped all my hair off. So my hair was like down to here, super long, and I tied it up in a ponytail and I said, I also washed my hair that morning because I knew, like, I don't know when the next time I'm gonna be able to wash my hair is, if this is really labor. So tip to everyone, just wash your hair when you're supposed to wash it. Don't wait, because you never know when you can go into labor. So I chopped it all off. Then I went to my aunt's house. Anyways, going back. So I get home, unpack the car, and just get ready for bed. You know, I tell him something's happening, but that's about it. This is Wednesday at this point. When I get home, and basically just the entire night I was contracting. I let my fiance sleep. I didn't want to wake him up because I knew I wasn't having the baby anytime soon, so there was just no point in waking him up. And I knew I would need him later. So I let him rest up. I spent the entire time sleeping. As soon as I had a contraction, I would get up, pace from my front door to my back door, to my front door to my back door, until the contraction was over, just taking deep breaths. And then I went back to bed and repeated that process pretty much until I had the baby. Thursday morning, we woke up. We had an appointment with the midwife. She came to the house. She checked me. She checked the baby. We were good. And then we recalculated the due date. As unconventional, you know, with my unconventional self, I made up my own due date. I said, I'm due May 25th. This was like 2 weeks after my typical due date of how everyone else calculates it. So it turns out I'm 40 weeks and 4 days. When I'm thinking in my brain that I'm 38 weeks and 4 days, I thought I would have 2 weeks maternity leave to get everything done, get ready. But I didn't. I literally had 1 day and then contractions started. So she said, okay, everything looks great. I'll be back later tonight. I said, what? Said, I'll be back later tonight. See you guys later. Then it was go time. So I think I did have some contractions during her appointment, but then again, throughout the day, like from 9 p.m. the night before on Wednesday, all day Thursday, all day Friday, I was having contractions and I was in labor. So once the midwife left, I called to my cousins to come over, help me with, getting things ready now that I was in labor. So I still needed, in my brain, I still wanted to meal prep. I still needed to organize some of the baby's things. I needed to set the house up for the birth. I wanted to put my birth lights up. I wanted to set up the pool. I wanted to hang my affirmations. I wanted to do everything. My cousins come over. Luckily, one of them who lives from out of town was here, as was everyone in my family, which we'll get to later. They come over and honestly, I don't even think we got anything done. We were just messing around. I wanted them to do 2 French braids on me so that I wouldn't have to do my hair for at least obviously the whole labor and maybe for a week after the birth. None of them knew how to do it. So we were watching YouTube. Didn't work because every 5 seconds I would have to get up, contract, walk up and down the house and come back. So I ended up with these 2 space buns on my head for my entire labor and birth. My labor weekend turned out to be a family weekend. I had 7 cousins graduating from college, grad school, and we were all here. Thursday, there was a graduation ceremony and a dinner. Thursday, there was a graduation and dinner. Saturday, there was a bread baking class that all the girls signed up for so we can spend some time together. Sunday was the graduation party. And I didn't make any of it because I was in labor. So every single one of my family members from DR, Florida, Georgia, LA, they were here in New York. And at my birth. So backtrack a little bit. I had wanted this to be a family birth. I told everyone to take classes, and I said the only people that could come to the birth are the ones that take the class. That did not happen. My family has no boundaries, but that's just how it is, and I love it. We have a huge family, so all of my mom's sisters were here. All of my mom's sister-in-laws were here. A few of my girl cousins were here. My fiance was here. My fiance's mom, his sister. So it was just it was crazy. But that's just my family. So, can't expect anything less. Fast forward to later on in the day, I just keep on laboring. And around 8:30 p.m., I decide to get into the pool. I knew that it was too early. I knew that I was not in active labor. I knew I was still in early labor. Even though the contractions were coming every 5 to 6 minutes, sometimes even eventually every 2 to 3 minutes, I still wasn't in active labor. I could still hold a conversation. I can still laugh. I just knew I wasn't in that labor land. So I still decided to get into the pool, seeing if I can get some relief. We called the midwife just to double check the temperature of the pool and everything. At that point, my mom was there, so I think my cousins had left to then come back later on. And we just labored in the pool for a while. I wasn't comfortable. I guess I relaxed a little bit, but it was just really hard on my back because there was no support and I was just kind of floating there in a weird position. But I stayed there for a little bit. And then at that point, again, I knew I was not in labor, but my fiance wanted to call the midwife to have her come, and I just said, okay, whatever. So she comes, I continue laboring. I don't know how long I was in the pool for, but I think I was in there way too long because that kind of slowed the birth down, the labor down. So I wish that I wasn't in there for so long, or that I didn't go in so early. Especially because I knew after the fact, I knew that I was not comfortable in there. I keep laboring, I get out of the pool, walk up and down. My focus was honestly resting in between the contractions. So I would have a contraction, get up, walk around. Once it was done, I would lay back down to bed. Even if it was 5 minutes, even if it was 1 minute, I would lay down, close my eyes, and then get right back up and just repeat the cycle. That's really what my focus was, and that I think kept me on track to having the birth that I did have. So in one of the contractions, I get up, I'm in the door of my room, and I go like this, feel a big pop. I feel just water come on down. At this point, it was about midnight, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. My water broke, and my midwife, I think, was like right outside my door. So that was nice. Shortly after that, my cousins from the graduation, they went to dinner, they went out to the Empire State Building, and then they came to my house around like 1 in the morning. So it was a couple of my aunts, a couple of my cousins, and they were here watching me labor. We were just hanging out. So it was cool to have them here. Again, family from out of town. So it was just like a crazy experience for everything, all of this to happen together. I continued laboring Thursday night, all day Friday. His family was in and out. My sister, my dad, my aunts, my family, some of my uncles who brought my aunts. Literally everybody was here. My mom was really pushing for me to get vaginal exams. I did not want any because that's not necessary to have a baby. Let's talk vaginal exams. So I originally had not wanted any. I didn't get any in pregnancy, but I decided to do 3 in labor. The first one, I was a 5 stretchy 6, and not very happy to hear that I was a 5 stretchy 6. I forget the effacement, but I know that the baby was in a negative station, so I knew that the birth wasn't going to happen like super fast. The next ones I forget, but I think it was like a 7, and then I don't know what the last one was. My midwife, she was okay with not doing any vaginal exams, but we had been checking my blood pressure, I think every 4 hours, and it was continuing to increase. So, I was in labor for 3-4 days, not resting properly, in big stretches of time. I was not eating properly. Although I was snacking in labor, I wasn't having my full meal. So that all may have contributed to the increase in blood pressure. And I was hydrating, but again, little by little. So I had those vaginal exams, not too happy. At some point, I needed to use the bathroom. I would try to go, but then I would just bear down. And I was like, oh, this feels uncomfortable. And that happened a few times, and I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to go to the bathroom, which was kind of an issue because I hadn't been able to empty my bladder. And if you know, the bladder is under the uterus. So if your bladder is full, it's hard for your uterus to contract and, get baby down. So I needed to get my bladder to move out of the way. But I couldn't pee. I don't know why. I was drinking a lot, I was eating, and I couldn't pee. So at some point, my midwife and the birth assistant decided to do some maneuvers. So we did a belly lift during 10 contractions. The entire contraction, I had my back flat on the wall. I was lifting my stomach up with a rebozo, and my midwife and the birth assistant were pushing my belly up. And every contraction, I could feel the baby go down. I'm like, oh, this is doing something. After that, we did 3 side-lying releases where I lay on the edge of my bed, throw one leg over off the bed, and that helps to move baby around. So after that, things got going. More contractions, back to back, more intense, and it was like the real deal. I would be having my baby in a number of hours. So my fiance and I were in the room, just the 2 of us, kind of just collecting myself and getting myself together. And I started to bear down, and I started to see some bloody show. So the entire labor, there was no bloody show up until the point where I was ready to push. which is perfectly normal. I was on the bed, hands and knees, and I did not like that position at all. We got up, told the midwife, we got everything ready for me to start to prepare to push, as my family got the birth pool ready, because my plan was like, I wasn't tied to birthing in the birth pool. At some point in labor, I got in for a second time, but again, it still wasn't comfortable, so I just got out. But I wanted to have the pool ready just in case I wanted to, and I was able to get to the pool and birth the baby in the pool. That didn't happen. So I'm standing in the bedroom. My fiance's back against the wall. I have my back against him, and he's just supporting me, as every time I get a contraction, I just feel the baby like coming down. So I'm squatting throughout the contractions, and every contraction kind of brings me lower and lower. When I was at the point of pushing, my midwife asked me who I wanted in the room. So I called my mom and I called my sister into the room because I wanted them to be in there with me. The rest of my family, aunts, cousins, dad, in-laws, were right outside the door with their ear on the door. The videos that we have are hilarious because they're like scrambling, trying to be quiet, but also like cheering and excited. It was just the funniest thing. So we're in the room. I get lower and lower to the floor, and I just feel this ball, which was, I guess, the baby's head, just coming down the vaginal canal. And I'm just focusing on that. Like, at this point, there's nothing to do. I was not leaving that room. I was not walking anywhere. I just stayed stuck in that place. I was not leaving that room to go walk to the living room to climb into the pool. That was not happening. I kept laboring and just taking my time. I really didn't want to push. So I just kept breathing and having my baby come down. Eventually, I pretty much get down on the floor on my knees in an upright position, and I do some pushes, I guess. I can't really remember. And then the baby's head comes out. And I'm like, okay. So I put my hand on my baby's head. I breathe. I wait for the baby to rotate, for the shoulder to come out, the other shoulder to come out, and then the baby slips right out, and my fiance and I catch our baby, and it was like, everything is over. We have our baby. It was a lot that led up to it. So it was just like a release once the baby came out, and it was just like a sense of accomplishment. I was just really proud of myself, had my baby, so happy to see my baby. We didn't know the gender, so after I held the baby for a few, I asked my fiance if he wanted to check, and then I ended up checking, and it was a girl. We have a beautiful baby girl, born at 40 weeks and 5 days. After the baby came out, I just held her. We were doing skin to skin. I don't really know what was going on around me. I was just focused on my baby's skin to skin, and my midwife was kind of like checking the baby, checking the cord. We ended up delaying cutting the cord. The placenta came out maybe about an hour after we cut the cord, about 45 minutes after the baby came out. And in all that, because of the rise in blood pressure, I almost passed out. I just know that I was holding the baby, kind of like drifting away. Everyone was trying to help me like come to and supporting the baby, and having me chug a bottle of water, chug a can of Sprite, chug a glass of orange juice, just filling me up with fluid to help get my energy back and to help, bring me back. So that really ended up helping. I don't know how I chugged all that stuff down, but it ended up helping a lot. After that, I got a little bit cleaned up, laid in bed with my baby. The midwife cleaned up. My family helped clean up the entire house, cleaned up the birth pool. I think my midwife said that she had never come out of a birth room and then seen everything already cleaned up by the time she was able to go out there and help with everything, because my family just was amazing and took care of everything. I'm laying in bed. My family's feeding me. I had my mother-in-law make me a sancocho, which is a Dominican stewed meat and root vegetables to help get some energy. And it's one of my favorite foods. And I know it's like really good for you and energizing and hearty. So after not eating a full meal for so long, I was so happy to have that. So I'm getting fed in bed, holding my baby. My family's cleaning me up. Again, I start to kind of go away, and my family elevates my legs, and everyone was just really hands-on in helping take care of the house and helping take care of me so that I can just focus on my baby. She latched on beautifully right away, even before, like, I think before even my placenta came out, my baby latched on. So I was just holding her and she found her way to my breast and she latched on beautifully. And we were just there enjoying each other. My fiance, we were all just like, everyone was just in awe of just witnessing birth. And I feel like that was one of the reasons why I wanted family there, because I wanted everyone to see a different birth at home outside of a medical setting, and how calm it could be, and how just like, you know, anybody can do it. Really, anybody can do it. And that's my birth story. Thank you so much for making it to this point in my video. I enjoyed sharing my birth story with you. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. For more content, let me know what you want to see in the comments below. Stay tuned for next week's video for tips on how I prepared for my home birth. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell for alerts on the next video. See you later.